Back to the glow, back to the sound, where the pixels dance and the dreams come round. Flashes of silver, a click in the dark, neon reflections, a world full of spark. He's got a temper, he's got the grace of a kid still chasing that perfect place. Bees are not here to glow, back to the sound, where the pixels dance and the dreams come round. Flashes of silver, a click in the dark, neon reflections, a world full of spark. He's got a temper, he's got the grace of a kid still chasing that perfect place. He's not here to pretend, he's calling it like it was, spinning truth with a joystick buzz, in a world that's changing too fast to see. He finds the magic where the past used to be. Back to the glow, where the cold light fades and the heart beats loud in a world of arcades. A VHS rewind, a plastic sword. His love's complicated, but never ignored. He's hard on the toys, soft on the lore, fighting grown-up days with a high score. Sometimes the past is the place we go to find the truth we used to know. You can lose yourself in that old console, but maybe that's how we stay home. Back to the glow, it's a love-hate ride, laughing at the past with the tears we hide. From pixel storms to plastic dreams, he's the echo in our TV screens. James hates everything, but he's feeling alive, with a fistful of tokens and a reason to drive. Back to the glow.
Welcome to James Hates Everything, and I'm here to tell you that the end is nigh for home arcade. So let's get into it. All right, I want to thank everybody for being here. And before we get into the meat of it, I want to bring my guest on. I think you guys might know this gentleman. Here he is, Michael B. the Game Genie.
Hello, James, fellow Illuminati member.
How is it going?
Man, I can't get over, for somebody that's America first, how much jobs you're taking away from Americans with the amount of AI you use, like that horrific song there at the beginning, like these backgrounds, like even the pictures like you can't hire like a nice American to even take your picture for your thumbnails. What is going on, man?
Yeah, I mean, hey, what can you say? Like you got to, if you can't beat them, join them, right? So
I just feel bad, man, because at one point, like everybody did this stuff. It was about like talent and showcase, and like honestly, like it's just AI everything now. And you're using AI like a lot, man. Like I love your thumbnail. Your thumbnail's incredible, like Terrifier, and the two guys playing arcades and stuff like that. But oh man, I hate AI.
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to become an AI whisperer, obviously. So I do a lot of different things. So it's not 100% AI, right? The whole Terrifier thing, like just the center image was AI, and I did all the rest of it, obviously. But yeah, it takes a mixture. And I think for people like Mason, who are creatives, who do this stuff for a living, like they can take AI way to the next level.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how they protect their jobs, right? If they embrace AI, they can do it better than any novice, or non-artistic person can.
So is
the vision?
Is this like the automated robots screwing in the screws at the iPhone factories? That's what you're talking about.
Glenn says no one's better than making thumbnails than
Oh,
GRS.
Glenn, I love Glenn's creativity, but it makes me so mad because I know he's just using like MS Paint and like the images aren't even 16:9, and I'm like, oh God, Glenn, let me help you or something.
I love them. They're so good. They're like
Yeah.
straight out of like the early 2000s or late 90s. I half expect to see a dancing hamster. Like,
Yeah. It's like it's
during
like
this period.
Glenn hit the MySpace page level and was like, I'm good. That's as far as I'm gonna go.
That's awesome. Well, he spends all his time making good arcade products, right? So he doesn't need to perfect the the artistic side or whatever.
I
But
don't know. The Rambo one was pretty good, man. Like he even cut out his face to match the jawline and everything.
he says he can't even afford MS Paint. So there you go. So I want to thank everybody, like I said, for being here. We've had a few bright and early folks. I think I saw Kevin Clausen on a couple days ago already chatting away. And I know there's been other people, of course, Gamer Fridge, who did not recognize Michael B in his Green Lantern uniform. People don't know that you were Green Lantern in another life, apparently.
They just don't realize it used to be thinner before COVID and the food.
See, people say I catfish, man.
I know, right?
And then Paul Mindeman said it's just Michael B. Jinping here for that tariff money. Ronald, thanks for dropping by. Of course, we have Cornercade and Stupid Fat Hobbits in the house. Excited about the Champions Pub Table coming out in a week.
Yeah, that's how I just found out about it. How's that for an At Games influencer? I just found out from Stupid Fat Hobbit in the chat.
Excellent. Jim the Pacers fan is here. Nice to see you. Let's see, Jason S., who we know is dying for a Double Dragon cab and may never see it at this point.
I know John D wants to do it. Like he
Yeah.
wants to do it. Yeah.
Well, I want him to do it because I really want that a Double Dragon cab. So, so John, we're going to try to steer clear of politics. Just talk about the atmosphere itself. We're not.
I thought we were going all politics, James. I need to know, who am I going with? Am I going Peter Polove? Am I going with Kearney? Like, what's my move here in Canada? Like, which way should I go? I mean, Polove, he says he's not friends with Trump, but he's got that history. And then Kearney apparently is talking to Trump. I don't know which way to vote. You got to tell me, man.
I have no idea, but with a name like Carney, it seems like you should probably steer clear.
Oh no, I'm all in on Kearney.
Let's see. Of course, let's see who else is here. We have J-Rod. We have Seeker of Arcades. Love that thumbnail or his profile picture, whatever it is. Darren Kane, of course, former Arcade 1-Up minion. I don't know how, employee.
I don't know what Darren did there, but he's an artistic guy. For such an artistic guy, the single D in his thumbnail just feels like it's off-put. Darren, you got to put some of your great art in there, man.
It's simplistic. It captures the D in his name. It's pure art, pure commercial art standards. B. Kirby's here. Let's see. I don't want to miss anybody, but I think King Ed is here. Says, what about At Games direct purchases from China for the 4KP? I assume that's done. We'll talk about that a little bit. We got Gramps Arcade. Geo's in the house. Of course, GRS is here. Thor KC, who is hiding out across town. Kongs R Us is in the house. Chris Ogaz is here. Bobby 1 ALU. Showgecko, nice to see you. Here he is. I'm surprised he's not already sending you eggplant pictures while we are.
Can you believe MG actually put his real picture in the thumbnail for once?
Isn't that Pepe the Frog in his picture there? I can't really tell.
All I can think of is playing mini golf with them and being like, "Oh, I hit my belly."
He's the only one I know that can get injured playing recliner golf, which is awesome.
Oh, I spilled my Pepsi.
Biggie D, the real Zim, not to be confused with the fake Zim, who went out and advertised that eBay auction that I wanted to win, and now it's reached astronomical levels, and so I am out on that. In case you
Yeah, you
guys
gotta watch
didn't
out for
know,
him.
there's a track and field prototype up for auction on eBay, so now somebody else is the high bidder, so you guys should go bid them up. Even worse, make them pay for outbidding me. Let's see. Sergeant is here. He says hello. And Israel Gaming says, "What's up, James and everybody? How's it going, Michael B?" And then Darren King says, "I was hired to manage ecom in the site, and that quickly became me being the email marketing manager, marketing copywriter for all products. A lot of visual design. Yeah, that's the way it goes with these small companies, right? You have to do a million different things. Once you
Well,
show you have any talent at anything, you're going to do it all."
no, I don't think they treat their staff very fair. Like we've seen it themselves when they go out to these like activations and stuff like that. I mean, like these guys aren't prepared. People gave that game shit at Pinball Expo because it was just Delilah and Tampa Tech, I think. And like they didn't even set them up with the resources. That seems to be the norm. Like when these companies go out, like we've seen Arcade One Up go out, and they've got no setup, no backup, no support. Hell, if it's not for YouTubers putting products together, the products wouldn't even be ready.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me when these companies do those activations, and like you said, the YouTubers are the ones assembling that stuff
Yeah.
half the time. I've It's crazy. But like how these companies will ship a prototype, and obviously that's the case with Wonderland. It got damaged in shipping, whether I don't think they drove it out there. I think it was actually mailed to them. And obviously that happened with Iconic Arcade when they did CES, they shipped them out. It's just crazy to me that with something so fragile and so important that you would trust like UPS or FedEx, it'd be like, this thing is going on a U-Haul. I'm driving it myself. I'm making sure it's getting there perfect and, taken care of, but they all like roll the dice.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from the fact that maybe they don't have people experienced in doing this stuff. There's no contingency. Like when they do this stuff, they just send it out, and there's no like, oh shit, what do we do if something gets messed up? Like, there's no thought of that, or maybe they're just hoping for the best. I don't get it.
And so Hayden actually is jumping in on the talk, and he says, "I think what will ruin the home arcade boom is the quality of the actual products, with $600 to one company, 1,000 to another. The same titles and new form factor with minor tweaks doesn't give hope." Well, I mean, one of the things I'll say is I've actually been super excited about all the stuff that we were supposed to get this
I
year.
know.
We've got multiple competitors with Iconic Arcade. You got Glenn with the Build-A-Cade FU. You've got Basic Fun. Rumors of a Unico thing. You've got Wonderland Pinball. All these things were like, hey, we're going to get a ton of fun stuff this
Oh,
year.
we are so back, James. We are so back. As long as nothing like a White Lotus or Black Lotus event in the economy happens, we are so back.
Yeah, and so let's talk about that, right? So then suddenly we have the trade war. And I assume most people have been following this, but maybe not. And so I just thought I'd do a quick recap of at least where we are in the last couple days, right? So obviously, Trump leveled tariffs seemingly on everyone on earth,
He
and
was a panicking.
and a few countries fought back, specifically China, and said, well, we're just going to go tit for tat. And Trump's going tit for tat with them. And now, yesterday, the news was we were going to be up to 125% tariff on China. And then he backed off everybody else. A lot of countries said they would come negotiate, whatever. And so yanked them all back and said, we're going to 125% instead of 100. And then today we actually have found out that it's actually not 125%, but it's actually 145%. So it's even more, right? all these ads. So now you're up
James,
basically at
James,
150%.
he was paid to lead, not to do math. Leave him alone.
So that's, I mean, 145% is absolutely a mind-boggling, and we've gotten
Astronomical, yeah.
here in like 3 days, right? 3 or 4 days. It's just been
Yeah, so
pretty insane.
not to get too political, but why do you think he backed off on the tariffs on the other areas? I've got a couple theories on it, and this is not to besmirch Trump or have a political side, but if you think about it, there's two mindsets on this. One is he said in interviews himself, he was like, people were complaining too much, there was too much pressure on the market, so I decided to alleviate some of the stress. So the day before, he coins a term called panicking, and then the next day he gives in to the panic and does that. So that's one theory. You take him at his word at that. But I believe he knew he was in for a dogfight with China in this tariff situation. So
Yeah.
he was like, you know what? I'm going to slack off of everything else so it doesn't kill the market. Because if I do this and I like destroy China this way while I'm destroying everybody else, it's going to like completely economically sink the market.
Yeah, I think there's obviously a few things I think at play, and that's definitely one of them. And in fact, I believe Trump said himself, a lot of people were yipping at him. I think that was the exact quote. A lot of people were getting yippy, right?
Well, like I would imagine that like the people that are supporting them, they're like, "Good job, sir," and then they go home and they look at their 401k and they're like, "I'm going to commit suicide." So
right, right. So he was hearing like all kinds of feedback, like, "Hey, the markets are tanking." Like they anticipated some level of pain across the board, right? But I don't think as dramatically and as much resistance. Then there's the flip side too, that by getting everybody, you can try to leverage them in negotiations to also put pressure on China, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
more countries united. So that's the hope, right? That's the hope that this guy who's supposed to be a master negotiator can actually do. I will say personally, like I've paid a lot of attention to Trump over the years, and he tends to cave on these things and back down. Like he's a bulldog, like a bully in the schoolyard. He makes a lot of noise, barks a lot, but when the rubber meets the road, he usually backs off. And so it doesn't surprise me that he dropped the tariff on everybody else, and it won't surprise me if we learn he does the same thing with China over the next few days.
So I've seen a lot of good memes. I wanted to make a 19K Fox one where they talk about him putting the tariffs in place in the first place, and he's like, "Tariffs work, people," and then he backs off on the tariffs, and then it's 19K Fox again, and he's like, "Art of the deal." So then the tariffs go back up, and he's like, "Tariffs work." Then he backs off on the tariffs, art of the deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. And obviously, like, you know, not to get political, but I've been a pro tariff guy for a long time. And, it's interesting to me to watch this two sides switch on where they've been on tariffing. But I think you got to have tariffs that are strategic and thought out. You just can't like jump on it like they're going. Like him and China just going back and forth. This is an escalation like
Yeah.
faster than I think anybody could have anticipated. Before we get into any more of that, KFB, thanks for gifting 5 memberships. Really appreciate that. And we have a super chat down here from Kevin Clausen, who says the $5 tariff on 19K Fox's channel is out of control.
I know, right? Like, if you want to hear his right-wing conspiracy nonsense, you got to pay $5 a month. Ludicrous.
Yeah. So let's get to actually what we're here to talk about. So the big tariffs, right? They're here, 145%. I believe the 104% is already active, right? And so the next couple is supposed to go up any day. And we immediately saw the fallout with this is kind of hard to read, but essentially this is the Switch stuff, right? This is the one that really I think caught news a lot for gamers, was when Nintendo announced, hey, we're going to back off pre-orders to see what happens with the Switch. And then they came a few days later and rained on Canada's parade as well.
Motherfuckers, what did this have to do with us?
Collateral damage, I
Well,
guess.
like I've been wondering about that for a couple days. One is Nintendo, like Canada is a very small place when it comes to video games compared to the US. So as much as it's a different market, North America is all one market for them. So it didn't seem fair to the people, south of the border for us to be able to pre-order them not to be able to pre-order them. And there was some concerns too about people basically exporting them back to the US. Like the same thing was happening with the UK. Like for some reason, even though they launched at the same time, people in the US were trying to get pre-orders from Amazon UK. I was like, what difference does it make? Like it still comes out June 5th for everybody. So why
Yeah,
do you need a UK pre-order?
yeah, and the tariffs work, right? It's on country of origin.
Yeah.
So if you buy it from China, or not China, if you buy it from the UK and UK's is made in China, guess what? You get to pay the 150% tariff when it gets here. So you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like that's actually one of the worst things you can do, because as you know, as we talk about the Nintendo Switch specifically, which I think is one of the big pre-orders everybody's kind of thinking about, is Nintendo really saw this coming during the first Trump administration and started taking efforts to diversify their supply chains. And they opened up a number of facilities in Vietnam, and I believe the other one is in Cambodia. And right now, roughly a third of their manufacturing comes out of Vietnam. And that was their diversification to avoid what appeared to be a coming tariff war with China, which is where we're at today. Now, what they didn't anticipate, right, was that Trump was going to also level a 45% tariff on Vietnam. But now that those are gone, the US is in an opportunity. We have an opportunity now, and people now think the Switch pre-orders could happen in the US and Canada at any moment. Like they literally could just make an announcement tomorrow that they're live and get them going, because there's a window now of 90 days in order to get this stuff. The June is in that 90-day window, so they can ship as much in as they can over the next 90 days, honor the price points that they advertised, and make do with it. Because I think that there's still going to be a 20% tariff on Vietnam. It's not zero right now. It's still at that like original rate, just not the 45% rate. But from what I've been reading from various analysts is they think Nintendo's just going to eat that. So it'll still be the regular price. But I did think it was interesting because this site, which is a Bloomberg report, shows the amount of Switch 2s and regular Switch production that Vietnam has had, that is shipping out. And you can see since January, these are all Switch 2s essentially.
Yeah.
They in January and February, they had shipped in basically a little 1.1 million Switch 2s into the US already. So they're already that's February. You've also had all of March and now portions of April where they've continued to bring Switch 2. So there's already likely a couple million Switches in country already.
Yeah, but that's for the Nintendo Switch YouTubers.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
So going back a little bit, on tariffs, because like I still think it's fascinating. Like people don't really understand tariffs. Like I saw JJ say, "Let's get the political talk out of here. Orange man bad." We can be judgmental of politics without having to have that opinion orange man bad. It feels like a defense mechanism whenever anybody talks about Donald Trump and offers any criticism. They're like, we know orange man bad, but like we can offer legit criticism towards any political person. Deal with it. I don't know what to fucking say here. And I'm sorry. I'm going to say that because every time I get this comment, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, so I will go back again. One thing about tariffs, like, again, when the US puts a tariff on something, that does impact the other country, but not in the way a lot of people think. The other country doesn't pay any tariffs. The
Right.
American consumers and the American businesses pay tariffs. The businesses pay tariffs up front. They either have to eat the cost or then they turn around and pass the cost on to the American consumers. So the $2 billion a day they've been making on tariffs has been coming out of American pockets. So let's just be clear about that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's essentially a giant tax on consumers, and that's done to reduce the demand of products, right?
Yeah,
Because if
that's how it
suddenly
impacts the other
yeah,
countries.
you have to pay all this extra money. The idea is you as the consumer will say, "Well, I'm going to choose something else then
Yeah.
because I don't want to pay all that money." And ideally, in the perfect theoretical world, and I'm very clear to say theoretical because that's not the reality we live in right now, you would choose like a locally made product, right? Something in the United States or in the the NAFTA area, something like that, that where we're closer knit, closer tied, and the money from the economic impact stays closer to home. But the reality is, the United States has been so engulfed in free trade for so long that we've decimated a lot of our industry. Silicon Valley is called Silicon Valley for a reason. It used to be where all the microchips were made,
Yeah.
but we decided at some point, we'd rather do it a little cheaper with basically slave-like labor in China, and we gave all that stuff away. And
Yeah.
now to ramp back up takes decade or a decade plus. And we've lost the technology. We'd be relying on some of these Chinese companies to re-inform us like we informed them back in the day.
Yeah, it sucks. Believe me, I've been on, the other side of this situation. Before I worked at the charity I worked at, coming right out of university, I worked at a call center and I was an operations manager. And unfortunately, our call center became not profitable because the Canadian government increased our minimum wage so much that we couldn't keep up with it. And then we were competing against sites in like Taiping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like their quality scores are better. They can't speak English, but their quality scores are better, and they're paying them pennies a day compared to what they were paying us. So yeah, and that was an American business, and they decided, yeah, let's shut it down. We don't need to work in Canada. We don't need to work in the US. We're just going to work overseas because that's, businesses are fucking greedy, man. They're going to try to make
Yeah.
as much money as possible.
And I think the vast majority of people probably watching us, I know it's not everybody, but the vast majority is probably working in some sort of tech related job.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anybody that hasn't been affected by offshoring or at least experienced offshoring in some aspect, right? So you know how this works. It's, we move everybody over there. It costs us jobs here, but they're able to do it less expensive, maybe not as good, sometimes better, right? Like it just depends on what's going on. And one hand, it's like great, we save money, we can have 24-hour operations. On the other hand, we're putting people out of work, which is our consumers as well. So if we eliminate the jobs of our consumers, how are they going to buy our product? So it becomes this weird give and take. And uh, basically leaders of both parties, not so trying not to get overly political, but the fact is we've had leadership of both parties over the last several decades and none of them really did anything about it. They all just kind of encouraged it and kept it going because again, it fed stock market. It may not have fed Main Street jobs and things like that. We've watched wages stagnate over the years and things like that in the United States
That's
because of
happened
this.
in Canada too.
Yeah.
And I'm in total agreement. Like at its core, I believe in this. Like I would love to see countries doing more to support their own. Canada is a huge problem because we have all this oil like that we've been selling to you guys at a very good price for a long time when we shouldn't be selling it. We should be, refining it ourselves. We'd be rich oil
Yeah.
barons, but we're too stupid to do it because, our prime minister wanted to get a Nobel Peace Prize for, the environment and stuff. Nah, man, I'm all about the environment, but I'm also about, hey, man, we should be a rich country. I should be like, Mikey 17 pins, but it's your fault, you
Yeah.
bastard.
Yeah, I mean, like, in Canada, right, you have so much natural resources, they should be paying you as opposed to you paying taxes to them. It's similar to like what Texas and Alaska kind of do
Yeah.
here, like Alaska specifically. But um, it's just an interesting concept, all these things, which kind of brings us into
Oh,
the
one
impact.
second. I
Yeah.
did want to talk about this a little bit. I also think it's really smart, not for Nintendo to be tariff avoiding, but any country shouldn't be 100%
Oh
reliant
yeah.
on any one source. Like, mixing things up, making sure your products are made in other areas is a good thing, because if you've been watching the global economy for the last couple of years, I mean, China has become a global powerhouse because everything's made in China. And at some point, you have to have a risk assessment conversation with your business to say, what happens if they up their prices and we are stuck with no out to go somewhere else and make something else? Like, companies run into this problem all the time. Arcade One Up did a couple of years ago when they were stuck. BOE was the only game in town. BOE raised the prices and they said, we're fucked. Let's get really crappy TM monitors. So, I think that's one of the reasons that they did this. And this is also one of the reasons I do support this trade war with China, because China has become,
Oh yeah.
very dangerous in terms of their control over the entire global economy.
Yeah, I mean that's 100% correct. Like COVID taught us one thing, right? Was how weak our supply chains were with China. And so all these companies took notice, right? When you couldn't get toilet paper, you couldn't get medicine, you couldn't get the masks, gloves, like all the things that people needed.
I
You
couldn't
get.
get my Make America Great Again hat. It was made in China.
Exactly. And so China knows this. The big corporations know this, and they've been taking those steps just like Nintendo did.
Yeah.
Nintendo actually started before COVID, but other companies really took notice after COVID, including Apple and others. They started diversifying to Vietnam and all over the place. Um, but what is really interesting about the time we're in right now is China knows this too,
Yeah.
right? So Trump igniting the trade war now, which I agree. I'm totally think it's appropriate. I think it's gone faster than we can imagine, but it's done that because China knows that these companies are diversifying as well, that they've seen their manufacturing decrease as companies have moved production away, and some have plans to completely move away into other Asian area countries and in India and other places. And so China knows, like, they're really in the position right now, this is their best fighting opportunity. If they delay, then they have less um, ammo, right? They have less resource. Right now, they have all the pull. And so they're going to try to use it as best they can. And that is what is really killing these companies.
Yeah, see, I read most of what I know about China in a magazine at the dentist, and now here's Council Kits asking me, inviting me to a coffee to go have a conversation about it.
I don't know. That's no, don't know anything about that. So on that chip thing. So here's the Switch 2 consoles made in Vietnam. So just more of that stuff. But what I wanted to talk about as we talk about now all the impacts and companies moving to diversify is the companies that haven't moved to diversify and how that is going to impact specifically home arcade. And the first thing I wanted to do, and actually we have another guest in the house, so I'm going to bring him out. It's Glenn, everybody. And
yo, hopefully my audio works.
it
Glenn,
works perfect.
Glenn, I thought you were American. Why are you calling from space? Are you up there with Elon?
He set me up here. Absolutely, man.
Excellent. And so it's a perfect time with Glenn popping in to kind of talk about one of our favorite companies that is being impacted by these tariffs.
Fourth favorite, maybe
Fourth favorite. So obviously you made the announcement earlier this week, and it may have been yesterday, in fact, that for the time being, until this trade war shakes out, that you are going to delay the release of the FU. And so I just want to kind of open the floor and give you an opportunity to kind of talk about that a little bit and hear your thoughts on it as somebody who's running a business that has been directly impacted. You have
a great business. I make $0 a year. It's a great business, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not a businessman. I'm a gamer. So that's what it comes down to. But you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, Glenn, why don't you start, you know, don't make stuff in China. Now,
oh yeah. I'm glad you're talking about this.
Yeah. So, you know, T-Sticks and the company I'm affiliated with is actually in Japan, Taiwan, which is now part of China since the British gave it up, and China. So we actually work outside of there, and we have other divisions even outside of there. But a lot of people said, hey, Glenn, you know, why don't you try and have it built other places? Now, I'm always transparent with everything. So I have been in talks in a long time with a number of different organizations. I don't want to announce right now who that is, because maybe something will still come from it. But I'm talking with 3 different organizations just in the USA to manufacture it. But the reality kind of sets in. One of the things that I believe in, this is just me. This is me as a gamer, me as a person who works hard, single parent, the whole 9 yards. You know, every dollar to me counts. You know, and I want everything, but I can't obviously have everything, but I would love to have everything. But I know how hard I work. And I work, you know, sometimes 14-hour, 16-hour days.
And some of that's his actual job.
Exactly. So with that, you know, every dollar you guys work for, to me, is valuable. You know, most people have maybe young kids, you have kids, you're taking care of other family members. So money is always at a premium, but you should still be able to enjoy life. I mean, we're alive for a limited amount of time. You know, it's just the way it is. And people should enjoy that. So my products are meant to be the best it can be at as low a price as possible. And so that kind of goes to what Michael B was talking about before, and what you were talking about as well, is that, you know, this is not something that happened overnight. This started happening late 70s when the US and other countries said, you know what, let's raise our profits. Let's our companies raise our profits. What's the easiest way to do that? Well, cheaper labor. You don't have to pay life insurance, health insurance, you know, PTO for staff that you work for if you're outsourcing it to other countries. So that it's an evil. And it's unfair to say that GRS, T-Sticks, New Wave Toys, My Arcade, Arcade One, anyone else is at fault for going to China, because it's really a necessary evil. I talked about once before, and I'm not a big Apple fan, never was, and definitely not a big Steve Jobs fan, but
he's
there are certain things he is. So we're told. So Elvis is dead too, they claim, but who knows? One of the things he was trying to do with Apple, he built at the time, very technologically advanced manufacturing plant in California. He wanted to manufacture the Apple computers in California. He wanted them solder, motherboards, everything done there. And he made he did it. He had robotics brought in, people were being trained. Then the numbers came through, what it was going to cost. The Apple computer would have been like a $10,000 computer to do it here in the States. So it's just a necessary evil. And is it your fault as a consumer? Is it my fault? Is it Canada's fault? No. It's the reality of governmental decisions, which are not in any way, shape of our control. We're living our lives as little worker bees or worker ants, and the governments are doing this. So decisions made in the 70s, you're talking 50 years ago, brought us to today's point. And now the countries are waking up and going, you know, wait a second, this is probably not right. China does have too much of a control over too many different things. Now, there's nothing wrong with a country having a good manufacturing and so forth, but it shouldn't be the old saying, all eggs in one basket is never a good thing. Diversification is important, but that is not going to help us today. In today's market right now, unfortunately, China, Vietnam, Korea, Japan still does manufacturing too. Those are the primary places. So back to what I was saying a second ago, and everyone knows my introductions are 10 minutes long, and so are my speeches.
I'm surprised you never played some weird 70s movie for 15 minutes first.
Exactly. So I am looking at other things to manufacture it, but the cost of the FU would be best case scenario, 3 times the price.
$3,000. $3,000. She put it in my
made
Discord
in the
earlier.
US,
Holy
right?
shit.
Right. And that's what best case scenario. Because remember, even if we build the wood here, right? We build the wood here. I still have to ship controllers, SBCs, cables, other proprietary stuff that we manufacture has to be shipped here. So that's gonna be still hit with a right now 145% tariff. It's just what it is. So from my standpoint, one of my goals as me is arcade quality, lowest price possible. So already that kills basically what my brand is all about. So as much as I would love to do something like that, and I'm still not ruling it out. I'm still in talks with people. Who knows what will happen? But the reality is it's going to cost more. And when you can have something that costs under $1,000, which is always my goal, and now it costs $3,000, to me that already is a problem. Number one. And I'm going to end this right now saying this one last thing is Michael B knows this, and James, I'm sure you know this too. I've talked about it to you guys off camera. Is when the first
by the way, just very quickly, disclaimer. We talk to this company and this business in a personal manner, and we do have inside information from talking to Glenn. I just got to get out there before someone attacks me.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I've been doing, the first delay of my Kickstarter was the initial tariff will be being kicked in. So I already had all my ducks in a row, and I said, you know what? I got to try and work that tariff into my costs. So I beat up my team. I beat up all the people we're working with to get my prices down again. So I was still able to keep my promise under $1,000 with those tariffs in place. But now that it's 145%, it is completely impossible for me to absorb that. I'm not a multi-million-dollar company. Like I said, I don't even take a salary. I'm like Trump, I guess. I don't even take a salary. I don't take anything. Do I get product? Yes, I get product for review. I get product that I prototype. I get things along those lines. But I do whatever I can to try and get this the lowest price to the consumer. And I can't absorb 145%. And that's assuming it doesn't go up further. It could go up 200%. We don't even know.
Yeah, we don't know how China's going to respond, right? Like they could jump it up again.
Yeah, and I see Paul in the comments, and Paul saying it's a short-term tool. 100% tariffs can be a short-term tool, and they can be a negotiation. But other times, tariffs can, like a trade war, could be a serious thing. Like you could be Princess Adamala dealing with the Trade Commission, and you've got the Emperor, pulling strings behind in the background. Glenn knows what I'm talking about.
I do, because people pulling my strings all the time. It is what it is.
We all hope it's short term. We all hope it's short term, but the reality is, we don't know how these countries are going to react. It could be, 2 days. It could be a couple months. It's impossible to predict that. It's not like Trump is just going to say, you know what, made a bad decision. I'm going to reverse the tariffs.
Right.
Tomorrow.
That's not going to happen.
That's not happening.
And what you said before, yes, the tariffs coming from imports are going to make everything more expensive on the consumer. You guys are absolutely right. We pay, no matter what people say, when they say we're going to tax businesses more, they're just going to pass it on to the consumer.
Oh yeah.
But what he's trying to do is, okay, if you're going to buy, I don't know, a CD, let's say, and it cost you 10 cents before, and that's going to cost you $5 to get it from China, and it costs $3.99 to get it from America. Yeah, you're still paying more, but you're buying it from America now. That's another side of what they're trying to do. They're trying to discourage you from buying stuff that's made from other countries that are costing this much. So maybe you only spend now this much buying American. That's another part of this whole thing. Yeah. Again, from my standpoint, I don't want to do that because mine is going to be more money, and it's not what I want to give to the people who supported me and T-Stex all this time.
Yeah, and as somebody who's owned a business myself and run a business, I can tell you, we pushed heavily, buy local, support local, forget the big nationwide conglomerates and corporations and things like that, support a local business. And it's easy to say that, just like buy American, it's easy to say that. But the reality is it costs more money, and consumers, the consumer behavior for the vast majority of consumers is to go the cheapest route possible, right? And they won't do it, no matter how much the cheapest one you put around it.
You don't have much of a choice. I mean, salaries are stagnated for the last 40 years. Honestly, here in Newfoundland, people at good jobs, with government or with business, are making the same amount of money they made in 1990 now in 2025, and government's I don't understand what the problem is. I don't know why you guys are looking for raises. There's no such thing as inflation. Are you fucking insane?
Yeah. Yeah. At
So,
the same time, our Social Security is being dwindled down. When
Yeah.
it makes
yep,
no sense there either in this
a
country. That money
double-edged
is our
sword.
money put aside. How is it disappearing? So we all know that the governments are what they are. Okay, we have very
It-
little power to control it.
Yeah, and for anybody that says I'm left or right, I'll tell you very honestly, I'm very much right wing.
I get it this way. I'm
Yeah,
ambidextrous. I get it both
no,
ways.
I am progressive conservative. It's called here in Canada. I'm conservative. I am very much right wing, but like the reality is, no matter which political party gets in, you're gonna get fucked. That's the truth.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
And the
and
other thing too, I'm sorry, real quick.
no, go ahead.
The other thing to talk about is, buy American, like with cars. This kills me too. So the only 100% car made in America really is Tesla, and they're burning them, they're painting them, they're burning down the facilities. Ford,
These are the
Chevy,
same left
GM.
people that were like, buy electric cars.
Yes, buy electric. It's all green. We love him, and now they're burning his stuff down
Yeah.
because of Doge.
Everything's politics, right?
It is,
So that's
but you look at Ford,
right?
Chevy, GM, the other car manufacturers, most of the parts are not made here anyway. So when you look at like getting even an electric car, let's say an electric Ford or an electric Chevy, a lot of they don't get everything because a lot of the parts are made outside the country. So think about that too. It's really about honestly, what you guys have. You guys know what money you have available. You guys know what you can spend and what you can afford. So this trade war, unfortunately, is a bad situation for a lot of people who are already here, just surviving with food, electricity, and stuff. That's the big picture. We're talking about games, and I get it, but ultimately, people are being affected by it, and we should always try and think
Yeah.
about them as well. There's veterans living on the street who are, they don't have food, they don't have shelter. That's the world that we should be worrying about, and our fellow friends, neighbors, so forth. I mean, gaming is great and fine, but when we talk about this stuff, just take a moment to remember that there are some people right now who were just struggling before. Think about how they are right now.
Yep, it's going to get even more difficult for them. And
Yeah.
on that front, I did want to ask because I've seen several.
They're probably not
people-
going to be able to get Switch 2s.
Yeah, I saw several people ask it in the chat. They're kind of interested in knowing, and I know you can't give exact numbers, but could you estimate what it would cost if you were to still manufacture like you were doing now and ship it in under the current tariffs? Like, how much would it affect the overall end user price? You can just percentage wise or something. You don't have to give like exact numbers or something. Just ballpark it if you're willing.
I can't because it's to give away too many different things.
Okay.
That's the whole reason why I this is not canceled. I'll make it very clear. The FU is not canceled in any way, shape, or form. But we need to know a couple of things. One, if it stays at 145%, we need to know that. We need to know where we maxing out so we can kind of figure and work out our side here. Hopefully it goes back down to something more reasonable. I hope. But the problem
Like
right now is
135, right?
right. Just in a couple of days, it's been jumping. So I feel it's very unfair to the people who've been supporting us to put a Kickstarter out there and then say, you know what, we have to charge another $500. That I will not do that. That's unfair to ask anyone to do that. No matter how much people say, Glenn, do it. No, we'll pay the fees.
Right.
I, in good conscience, cannot do that to people. I need to know what it's going to be and guarantee that that's what they're going to get. That's what I need to do.
Yeah, and it's it's tough to answer just in general because we hear a lot of people, it's convoluted the way trade works and where the tariffs apply and things like that. So a lot of people will think, well, if the retail price is $1,000, then it must cost me $2,500 to get it in there. Where there's some variation in that depending on how you do it, right? Because tariffs are based on the price at which they come across the border. So it's not necessarily the retail price, depending on what it is, right? It could be some sort of wholesale price where you get hit. And so I can see why you wouldn't want to share too much information on there. I was just kind of curious, just from a general sense.
Curiosity is a good thing.
Yeah.
I will say though, up until a couple of days ago, until I made this announcement, the tariffs were at 46%. I think they were at the time.
Right.
I was still going to be under my goal. So we had done. That's what I'm saying. I did all this work. I beat everyone up. I did all this stuff. Like, we can still do this. And then wham! It's like, that just killed it. And it was like, no way. And I do not I know what the machine is worth. I do, and it's well worth more than the price I'm going to sell it for. But even still, I don't feel fair because I know what I potentially could sell it for, like until this all happened, and then say, oh, it's going to cost you $1,500 now or $1,700 now. I can't. It's just because all we're doing is giving money to the ether. It's not.
Right.
It's not going to the product. It's not going to us. It's going to ether. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But me personally, I cannot condone that for something that I want to make for you guys. I want you guys to have it at the best price.
Yeah, it goes into the coffers of our federal government, who are going to use it for awesome things like bombs and
in their bank account.
Well, I do have
shrimp on treadmills.
I do have an offshoot of this that I would be concerned about too, because Glenn, I know you're not going to do this, but I think about the other companies that are going to be forced, like the less scrupulous companies like Arcade 1-Up and some of these other ones that the profit is the first factor. What concerns me is we already saw this during the pandemic. They had to increase their costs because they worried about the wood shortages and chip shortages. But when the pandemic ended, those prices never came back down.
Correct.
So now
sure
I'm going to see these companies turn around and be like, oh, we got to charge $700 for this $299 arcade. And then that becomes the new norm for that price.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested.
That.
I'm really interested to see what comes out of this in the aftershock if this remains a long-term thing, because I think
look at shipping.
We'll see inflation. Yeah,
think of shipping never came down. I mean that and there was a point in time we had to meet Joey Bag of Donuts behind the thing and throw 10 grand for the hope of getting a small spot on one of those things, and that never came down.
Yeah, and so that's you're not the only company, right, that is having delays and announced delays. I wanted to talk another one that is a big one we've all been talking about recently as a huge new entrant into home arcade, and really probably the one that is going after Arcade 1-Up directly more than anybody else, as they're literally releasing products that Arcade 1-Up has in the market, and that's Basic Fun. And they announced yesterday a complete halt to all products.
Yep.
So no shipment on anything for the foreseeable future. And this is a company that just got out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy restructuring, got on a good footing in order to make some investments, which is why they are looking to bring some home arcade stuff to market. And now, with basically their revenue stream completely drying up, there's question about whether they'll even make it if this is a prolonged trade war, right?
The only thing they can hope for is having some product in the States. Like right now, I have a warehouse in New Jersey where I have Akari sticks. I have product here. So that's obviously I could sell and not worry about the tariff. But if they, like right now, haven't released anything, it's how to come over, they're in a tough spot.
Yep. And that's why companies like Apple, right? You've probably heard the stories. They loaded 5 cargo planes up with iPhones to get them here, right? Like to stockpile. But not every company is in a position to do that.
Right.
Or the foresight. You know better than anybody. It takes months to ship things here. So if they weren't thinking 10 steps ahead, they aren't likely prepared, and that's kind of the situation I think Basic Fun is in right now.
I'm sure also Apple had inside don't know. This is my opinion. Probably had some inside information saying, "Listen, we better,
all the billionaires
we talked about that in the pre-show because Trump did an interview there yesterday, and he was introducing. He was like, "This is my friend Charles Schwab. He made $2.1 billion yesterday because of the market rebound." Of course, he didn't know, and James was like, "There's some communication." And I said, "Do you mean collusion, James? Do you mean collusion?"
Well, Nancy Pelosi and all of them know all about it, right? They've all been doing that crap.
Well, again, two sides of the spade. No one's clean. Politicians are all dirty. Yeah,
they all do it, which is why we need to be pressuring them to make it illegal for them to do it. Because right now it's not even illegal for them to do.
Right?
They just go, "Oh no, I have somebody else do all my trades for me. It's not me."
Politics.
Sure you didn't pick up the phone and hint at anybody or.
Politics is so disgusting. Like here in Newfoundland, we had a new premier come in, and within months of him becoming the premier, his blind trust, which is still his business, won a political bid to get a long-term care facility greenlit. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, so I mean, this is just one, right? I thought this was a big one. You guys might know them besides making the home arcades that we're all
I
kind of
didn't I
interested
didn't
in.
know this about Basic Fun.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare because honestly, they were kind of our last hope with everything else going on.
Yep.
So this
They
sucks.
make
And yeah,
They make Care Bears, Lincoln Logs, Tinker Toys, Light Bright. I mean, they make some of the biggest brands in the toy space out there, the traditional brands, and outside of Mattel and Hasbro, right? And for them to be like, we're not shipping anything. They've shut down everything. Nothing is coming in. On top of that, if you're a toy nerd like I am, you know of Big Bad Toy Store because it's one of the premier places to actually guarantee you get some of the toys you want. They also made a big announcement yesterday about how they were essentially going to eat the tariffs, but as they, kind of like Glenn was saying he was doing, but until they exploded out of control and they can no longer do that and are going to need to pass the increase on to consumers. And this is a company that lives and breathes off of pre-orders. Like almost everything they sell is pure pre-order. So that's going to be a lot of change for people that posted their pre-orders, and they're going to have to make some tough decisions as to whether to keep these things. The other company that I found interesting is Wonderland, who just finished their Kickstarter this morning. I think with 620 backers and something like $630,000. They're now committed, and they said yesterday or a couple days ago, on the Cornercade that they're committed to honoring that price that they sold that to people for. And they make this in Hong Kong entirely, so it would be subject to these giant tariffs. And if that continues by the time they ship this, I don't know how they ship it. Now
I do.
they say they're going to, but they have to have a lot of extra capital
I do
beyond what they've
because
raised.
I mean their goal here was 100,000, right? And they've
Right.
got retail partnerships already lined up. I've heard as much as they've been shopping them around Canada. I've heard from retailers. So I don't think the Kickstarter is their main priority, main goal. This was to get the product out there. They said themselves, retool, get some tooling
Yeah,
costs
the
back and
tooling,
stuff
the
like that.
pre-tooling stuff
Yeah.
going.
So
Yeah,
I also
pre-manufacturing.
let's call a spade here. Like these machines don't cost $800 to make. It's one of my
No,
least favorite things the community say. They seem to think every fucking company needs to be not for profit making home arcade products. Obviously, there's overhead, guys, built in, so obviously they can eat the overhead on this and still put it out. But I'm sure they're sweating a lot more than they should be with the tariffs going up. Or maybe they're got the same opinion as Paul. Like this is not going to last by the time these come out in November, January. That's my opinion.
Right.
yeah, and but they could, right? And that's you have to prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
Well, like I said,
And
I don't think these cost $800 to make.
no,
I think
they
they're just going to
definitely
lose
don't.
their. I think they're just going to lose their profit margin and overhead.
But when they made that
But
announcement that they were going to eat the tariffs weren't at the 145%. And again, there's still no
They were
guarantee it's not going to go
they,
up higher.
they were
right,
rumored to jump up to 105
Right. So
at the time. Yeah.
it's dangerous, but hey, they made their stick of the sandwich is great, but they could be in for a world of hurt if it goes up much higher.
yeah. I mean, the point I'm making with them is it's extremely high risk because you mentioned retail partners. Well, those retail partners, I'm sure, were at a certain price point, and if suddenly this has to jump up, even if it's 30-40% retail increase, that's
Yeah.
huge in
Yep.
consumers' minds. They'll cross a threshold that they won't buy. Plus, consumers are already going to be skittish because everything else is going to go up in price, right? Because of everybody's like kind of tied to China through supply chains. I just think it's for them, it's really risky to be saying like we're going to guarantee you this price point. I mean, I'm glad they did, but they're gonna, I think, be eating into other capital. Like this will cover the cost, but I don't know how much, right?
Well, I again, I like I'm I don't think. I think Peter's a good guy. Peter comes from a good background. I mean, he worked with Shiloh at New Wave Toys. They still seem to get along very well. They have a good background. Shiloh's a great guy too. So I don't imagine that this is like a super negative thing. I think that, you know, they'll be able to get through this because at the end of the day, they believe in this product and they know that, like, honestly, if they have to come back and ask the Kickstarters for more money or cancel, product's dead. They don't have a choice but to eat this.
Right. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they really can't. Like you said, you can't go back and ask for more money, but it is going to be interesting, right? They do have the ability because it is a Kickstarter and a pre-order to try to delay, right? To say, hey, we're not going to ship these until they hit a certain period, but then you're going to get people get antsy on you, and they've made that guarantee, right? If they don't ship it at the latest by April of 2026, right, then they'll fully refund you. So they've kind of locked themselves in on both sides. So I think it'll be interesting. I think this is one that's really high risk, in my opinion. But I wanted to show them because they're going forward despite that risk. So it's just a different take on what other people are doing, right? Lots of people making different decisions about how to respond to these tariffs.
What do you think Iconic Arcade's going to do? They've been pretty quiet. Their pre-orders are out there, right?
Yeah, so they're definitely on my list to talk about, right? And so I think that's a good question. I think I go back to similar to what I think Basic Fun is dealing with, that these may not come out at all, right? Like if the tariffs are that bad and they last for that long, you could see an indefinite delay on this stuff. You know, we've heard that these are being manufactured in a factory that Arcade 1-Up used to use or partner with. That is, in China.
Maybe.
So,
We did, like, there's so many things out there
they
right
could have
now
moved.
about like
They could have changed from them.
lawsuits,
We don't
potential
know.
lawsuits,
Yeah.
cease and desist. We have no idea what's fucking going on.
Yeah. We've no idea. That's exactly right. But clearly, I think we've heard literally nothing from these guys except for saying, hey, there's some sort of slight delay due to tariffs. Well, the tariffs have only gotten worse. And so whether the other things going on legally are also at play, like the tariffs have gotten worse. So if there was a slight delay, there's probably a much, much larger delay. And so I think this is another company or product line that I think's at huge risk long term of whether we'll see it this year or at all as a result, right? Well, are they still gonna, like, let's say this is prolonged and goes a year. Do you think Iconic Arcade is gonna like want to revisit it a year later, or you think at some point they say, look, like we have to, cut bait and look elsewhere at other products that aren't as risky or something?
I think Lenovo, their main owner, they're interested in
a Chinese company.
Yeah, well, I think they're interested in growing their arcade brand. They've been doing it first with the multicades and now with this. So this might not come out. Like, that's possible. Like, this could get screwed up, but I think Lenovo will revisit some kind of arcade in the future if it's not this.
Yeah. And so obviously another company.
Glenn, you're not concerned about that pre-order getting screwed up for you, are you?
No, well, again, remember, I was talking before about people aside from myself, this is a living. They got families. I feel bad for anyone that might be caught up in this. Still have kids and parents and wives that have to get fed. It's not a good situation. However, I still make the better product.
we all know several people that work at games, and this
mostly
is
YouTubers.
Company. Yes.
Companies completely staffed by YouTubers now,
which is a pretty interesting hiring strategy. But there you go. But this is another one, right? With rumors of them coming out with this At Games Legends Ultimate 4K this year. Like, is it really going to happen? Is it going to be delayed another year as a result, or will it not go anywhere? Like, can they have they shipped in and stockpiled a bunch of these pinball machines, or are they trapped for a while? So this is another one. We don't know what's going on, but
That's really interesting because I can't tell you. You know, like I said earlier, laughing as an At Games influencer, I found out from your chat what the next Zen Studios game is. So I don't really have any inside fucking information. But they've been doing a lot of these factory direct programs. So I wonder how much of their stock is actually here in the US. Now,
Right.
my buddy 19K Fox, he just ordered an Attack from Mars ALP 4K there like a week ago. He got it in like 2 days. So I don't know the answer on that. I will tell you, I don't know how many Canadians watch your show, James. Probably not a lot because of your right-wing American rhetoric.
Well,
But
I definitely pissed off a Canadian like the other week when me and Fox were busting on you. They're like, you said that about Canada. I'm unsubscribing. I was
yeah,
like, we're just poking fun at Michael.
anyways, I did hear some news about Canada there the other day. Like anybody in Canada that's been holding off on getting an At Games Legends Pinball 4K, yeah, I would change your mind. I would get one soon because the future is going to be very expensive. So right now, like it's expensive. It's $2,000 in Canada to buy an At Games Legends Pinball 4K. Then another, I think it's $550 to get the SSF kit separate, and you install it yourself. But from what I hear, they're not going to be doing the SSF kit separate in Canada anymore. They're going to be offering an all-in-one package at $3,000 Canadian.
You know what? It's much better to get an Oculus Quest 2 or 3 and Pinball Effects VR.
It's so good.
I'm in love with that damn thing.
I know.
I love that game. Add multiplayer to that, and that thing is the app.
I know, but it's for the people that want it. It's going to be going up to $3,000 soon. No option to get the SSF kit separate. So it's currently on sale for like $100 off at the brick. If you had plans on getting it and you were holding off, waiting for a sale, it's not going to happen. Just go get it now. But like Glenn said, honestly, if you just want to play pinball and like get a really good experience, play it in Pinball FX VR, and then also get this X Arcade. I'm going to shill the fuck out of everything here now.
There's a good link below for the X Arcade if you want 10% off. But
no, don't use his link. Don't support James. He uses AI. So, anyways, I found my dongle last night. I was so worried because I hadn't hooked this up yet, and Console Kits just bought his Tank Stick XR, and he was like telling us all about how good it was with Pinball
so good.
FX.
Hey, of course it is. It uses GRS controllers in there.
I heard Arcades Anonymous fluffing you up last night, Glenn. You must have been so wrecked. They were like, "Oh, that trackball's really good. Wonder where that came from." And Glenn
trackball,
was like,
the joysticks. Yeah. If you notice, the joysticks, the tops are removable, which is exactly the same joystick in my Ultimate Control panel. Because you know what, it is. So go for it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like
drop the mic. I'm dropping the mic.
Yeah, I use my X Arcade thing literally like all the time. And so the way it works with that pinball is insane. But everybody's heard me, rave about that because it
is good. It's a good experience.
It's so good. And I'm playing pinball way better in Pinball FX VR than I've played on anything else. Like I'm actually ahead of Michael and Console Kits on a few tables. I'm ahead of P-Dubs and everybody on other tables. Like I'm like, holy crap! I suddenly learned how to play pinball.
And it's fun. I gotta say though, in the pinball effects, the pinball machines are. I mean, if you look at my video, I get like right up on them. They look good, but the room, I mean, just the atmosphere in there. They did such a nice job. Even the stupid dartboard.
Oh yeah.
It's just such a great experience. And for the price, even with the heavy, you're so far ahead of the game buying an X Arcade, XR, an Oculus, and Pinball Effects VR, you're still ahead of the game.
So one of the things I really harp on with Pinball FX and VR that makes it such a big deal, you don't get the haptic feedback. Of course, we've heard X Arcade talk about they're going to try to work on that. But the big thing that you don't get the same experience from VPin, digital pin, whatever you want to call it, on a machine is the depth, being able to see like the height of the rails, see the angles on certain shots.
Really helps.
You can see this in VR, and it really improves the experience. It really makes it so much better. Like honestly, guys, I hate to be shilling VR this much. Go check out Brooklyn Menace.
This is totally valid. This is totally valid.
Good.
Yeah.
Certain things work extremely well with it, and like I said, if you guys have not experienced the pinball effects in VR, you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing.
Because Console Fanboy mentioned the playing in mixed reality mode. I actually saw a guy earlier today that did mixed reality mode and put a bunch of the tables out in his backyard in mixed reality and was out there in a snowstorm.
I saw that.
Playing. That's crazy.
It's only fair to mention that Console Fanboy lives in mixed reality long before VR entered his life.
Yeah, I haven't met a person yet that really has not liked it. Everybody that's actually experienced it like is raving about that game. And
no joke.
There was some hemming and hawing about prices early on, but of the extra tables, but I think they're in line with what you get. And I think there's even some bundle deals now that you can get all the stuff for a discounted price. So like it's a game changer. It's definitely one of the killer apps on MetaQuest. I think.
So
it is. They have the arcade, and the arcade was okay. The arcade was okay.
Arcade Ranger, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I haven't played
it's
it
okay.
yet.
It's okay. But this is so next level. I mean, it's just the small touches, everything in there. You just have to add the multiplayer. You put that in there, put your friends in there playing machines. That's it. That's the game changer.
I will tell you, our friend Console Fanboy, not Console Fanboy, Console Kits, he's an owner of 17 real pinball machines. Like this guy basically has like one of the swankiest fucking pinball arcades you've ever seen in your house. Obviously he's a rich motherfucker. He's not really worried about these tariffs, but now this guy has 17 real pinball machines. Like we're talking like cream of the crop too. He's got Monster Bash, Attack from Mars, Revenge from Mars, all the modern Sterns. Yet this guy is fixated on Pinball FX VR and the tank stick, and he can't stop talking about how good the experience is. He's been trying to pump B-Kong up the last couple of days, be like, cancel your Wonderland pre-order and go get a MetaQuest 3 and a tank stick VR.
Yep.
And like B's like, I can't believe you, this, pinball, what do you call it? Pinball elitist would have this opinion, but that's really how good it is.
It is. It really is.
I did the same thing to Fox. I was telling him he's got to go get a VR and get this thing because he just got that 4KP like this week or whatever. And now I'm like, man, you just need to get the VR thing.
The only bad thing about the VR thing is I still walk into walls. I still bang.
So,
but
Glenn,
outside of that, it's great.
Glenn, to give you a little bit, because you know how we gotta pump you up, like you demand it from us. You tell we gotta talk about
in
this.
The contract.
Can you talk about this at all? This is something you told me privately that I probably shouldn't talk about, but something I'm excited about. Something else about the tank stick that people might be excited about. You have a product called the Viper, and you've told me, and I probably shouldn't be bringing this up, that you might be working on something that could tie the Viper in with the X Arcade.
You bastard.
So I heard that too, but not from Michael B. or Glenn. So it's going around.
Yeah. So that is true. So we are working on actually a number of products still for X Arcade. Some are going to really blow your mind, but since Michael brought this one up, so we're going to be making it's our Viper, but it's a special enclosure that will actually clip onto the actual X Arcade itself. And this way you don't need to put a separate PC on it. It's all enclosed right in there. And again, this whole tariff thing, not that the Viper is very expensive, but this whole tariff thing is just throwing everything out of whack with everything. So, but the answer is yes.
I've heard AV announced on my stream too that potentially haptics and a plunger and some other things might be in the works for this device. So,
James, stop it. Like, this is ridiculous. First, you advertise on other people's channels in the chat that Abby mentioned this in your video. Now you're doing it on your own video.
I know.
Will the madness never end? Glenn, I got a quick question for you. Let's pretend the show's over and this is just a personal chat now because
I thought it was over. Okay.
So, like, say for example, I bought a Viper today. Can I still use it with the X Arcade? Is it all set up to go? Or like,
it would
do I? I'm not much of a tinkerer, Glenn. I don't know if you know that. Like, how much fucking around am I going to have to do to get it to work with my X Arcade?
Not a lot. The only difference is we've designed a special enclosure for it that'll let it clip onto the unit. You could do it right now, and a Viper would definitely work on it anyway. And actually, we've been doing a lot of new work. We just released 205 of the arcade OS with a lot of enhancements in there, and we're still doing a lot more in preparation for, again, when with the FU is going to come with the Viper Venom, which is our Pi 5 killer, if you will. So we're constantly adding features to it. But to answer your question, anyone who has a Viper right now could, yes, connect it to an X Arcade. You just won't have a nice way of connecting onto the machine.
Yeah.
Just some duct tape will work, I guess, for right now.
Oh, I'm in Canada. I've watched Red Green. I know how to use duct tape.
So I have one more company to talk about, right? And this is the one company that's probably coming out smelling like a rose right now because of the tariffs. And you know, I hate to say it, but it's these guys, right? And it's not because they're good or they're making anything good that anybody wants. It's because all the competition that was about to send them into oblivion is now on hold or whatever, right? So if ever there was an act of God or something to step in, like, I don't know who sold their soul with the devil over there or whatever, like, these guys just, you know, are getting at least a momentary reprieve as their competitors are all held at bay through no effort of their own, right?
I
Just
guess it's a
pure
good. I
dumb
guess it's a good
luck.
thing they have warehouses full of unsold product. I guess that's a really good thing for them.
That's their only advantage right now. They're like, we've got American Edge. Nobody bought our shit, so it's all here.
Yep. And you know, in fact, they were so thrilled about their new position that I was sent this photo of Cyrus, who is now officially finally making Arcade One Up great again through tariffs. So
I just can't wait until no one's done a review yet of the new classic SE cabs. I can't wait. Like, I know people make fun all the time when I did that video where I talked about the Street Fighter 2 Arcade One Up. What was it? Capcom Legacy cab. And I talked about the horrible line of sight on it. And I said, you got to do the arcade shuffle and do the splits to get under the line of sight.
yeah.
There's going to be videos of people like this trying to fucking see from the 13-inch screen while playing. That's what I can't wait to see.
Yeah, it's when somebody does do a review, it's going to be bonkers. Like, I think they'll get a lot of views because people want to see just how horrible the thing.
Yeah,
the
Like
experience
Snow White,
is.
the movie that came out.
Yeah.
You want to see the train wreck.
Like, that's exactly right. Because one thing Americans love is a train wreck or a car wreck, right?
Yeah.
Like, we just got to rubberneck it. We got to see it as we're driving down the highway, and boy, that one's on full display. And
Yeah, Canadians like to see a moose on moose collision. That's what we're looking for.
So we've been going for quite a while. So probably just wrap things up. So final thoughts. Where do you see the tariffs going? And, you know, just from a home arcade perspective, what do you think 2025 is going to look like? Do you think this is going to last all year? Is it going to be short term? In your personal opinion, what do you think?
Why don't you ask Glenn first, and then I'll jump in after that. Glenn's the man with the knowledge here. He's the business owner.
Me again. So my hope is it maybe goes the summer. That goes this summer, and then someone's going to blink. I don't know who's going to blink, but someone's going to blink, and things will get a little bit better. If it goes all year, it's really going to suck for all of us. I mean, let's be honest though. We have a lot of toys anyway. Let's be honest. We have a lot of stuff to play with anyway. We just want more. We'll be okay. But if it goes past the summer, so it's going into the fall, and then you're affecting the holiday season, and that's really going to be a big deal. So I'm hoping the summer will be when someone's going to blink.
There's a critical point to get your stuff over here to, and I say over here, I mean North America, the US. It's a critical point that it really needs to be here. I think it's like September, Glenn, in order to get in for the holiday season or something like that. So if the tariffs don't alleviate before then, we are absolutely effed in the B when it comes to home arcade for 2025.
Yes.
Yeah, and Christmas will be canceled essentially. But
well,
like Glenn said,
like Glenn's saying, let's all be honest here. Like,
we
honestly, I'm a 44-year-old man with a 3-year-old child. a baby, right? Like a fucking baby.
Yeah.
And I struggle right now to find time to play anything. Like I
Yeah.
always have grand ideas. Like last night, I got all hyped up after playing Tomb Raider. I went out and I bought like what is it, Legacy of Kain for Evercade. Then I didn't stop there. I bought some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys. Then I bought the Atari 7800 Plus, Berserk, and a C stick. When am I gonna fucking find time to play all these? So even if stuff doesn't come out, it's not like we're gonna be in a bad place because
Right.
I've got multicades behind me. I've got digital pins. I've got Quest. I've got a PlayStation library. I'm never gonna play through my entire.
And hey, by the way,
life.
Michael, you got a wife too, you know?
Yeah,
Yep.
but she doesn't do as much as she used to do. So I, you know, so
Jeez. Yeah, definitely it's the time for the backlogs, right? Like we've all talked about all the games we've stockpiled over the years and haven't had the opportunity to get to. Now is that time, right? There's a reason we collected all these things over the years. Now we can actually spend some time
Yeah.
actually playing.
Exactly.
You know, I know there's a ton I want to get into. I've been loving that Hitman game. I know you played that, Michael. That VR Hitman is pretty fun.
And it was the first time I ever played Hitman. Like it is really fucking cool, but like it
It's
is
really hard.
frustrating. Like I poisoned that motherfucker and he didn't die. Like how did he drink rat poison and
watched.
still live?
Yeah, it's funny because there's an achievement on that one. When he goes to throw up in the toilet, you can drown him in the toilet. So you have to be ready to like drown him in the toilet. Like the game has some really crazy stuff in it, but it is not an easy game.
Oh yeah, and I will tell you, I was prepared for the tariff. So like Christmas time, I loaded up. I picked up the Quest 3. I picked up the PSVR 2. I basically went out and I spent my 2025 money all at one time because I was like, all this fucking stuff is happening. I'm gonna load up, so I'm gonna be ready for it. And now I am. And if shit goes on the long term, I got lots of stuff to do this year. I'm good.
So this is a question I've never heard or been able to find an answer for. How do tariffs affect digital goods? So as we talk about like some of these games and things like that, are they impacted? Like, because
They don't impact me at all because I don't buy digital games. I don't
Yeah.
buy that shit. If it's not physical, I don't want it. So to me, it
but
doesn't
there are
affect
no
me at all.
physical, meta games. So PC games haven't been physical in a long time either. So, but yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens there because I don't know, like, because it's digital, do they just get around tariffs? I can't believe that's a thing. Like, but maybe it is.
I have no idea, James.
Yeah,
I guess
that's a good
the
question.
future is yet to be seen. The future is what we
future's
make
not
it.
set.
Yeah, the future's not set. The future is what we make it.
All right. Well, any other thoughts? Anything you want to plug while we're here? I know Glenn has a big show tomorrow.
Just gonna be talking
every
about
Friday?
kind of what we talked about today and how insane I personally think the whole Switch 2 thing is. I think Nintendo's been for a very long time a bully. You know, they bully. We're
Oh, yeah.
influencers. When you did videos to promote this stuff, they would steal your revenue or sue you. Now they're doing this. $90. Tomorrow, I'm going to lose my shit tomorrow on Nintendo and the tariffs. There we go. Plug.
Glenn, Nintendo's been a bully recently. Go back and ask Sega how the Master System went because of Nintendo.
No, but for a long time.
Yeah.
When NES first came out, you had to do an exclusive agreement with them.
Yeah.
They were strong on back in 80, 86, 85. I'm just saying that they're being more so even now with the Switch 2 thing, and then trying to justify $90 for a digital download because we worked hard on the game and that's what we deserve to get. Get the hell out of here.
In the fuck
Yeah.
out
If
of
you're
here.
poor, buy keep the old one. Okay, if you're poor. There you go.
Yeah, it's been interesting. And so obviously Super Game Room Dudes is tomorrow night. Anything special?
Ooh, is that
we
show
can
any
look
good?
forward to? I've heard it is. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet though.
it's been a little hostile lately. Like it's hard because you go back and forth, and obviously I'm a pretty big target because I make myself a big target. I'm an idiot and I got big shoulders. I can take it. But like lately, P-Dubs has been kind of lashing back out and stuff like that. I know people enjoy the sand and the veg, but I wish we could get away from that. I just want to have fun. This is supposed to be an escape from like the horrible fucking things we deal with on a day-to-day basis. We're talking about video games and our relaxation. So I'm hoping that Super Game Room Dudes is going to be drama-free tomorrow night. Let's have fun, boys.
We could all use a little less drama these days, I think. Lord knows there's enough crazy shit like this year so far has been one whirlwind of crazy. So
Actually, it's 2020. It's since 2020. We still have not really
That's
had a
true,
good run.
so I
Remember
want to
back
thank
in 2018 when things were fun, Michael? Remember
Oh,
2018
yeah.
when things were fun?
Oh man, everything was great. The Canadian dollar wasn't as terrible as it is now. There was lots of stuff to play. Ever since the pandemic, everything's been underwhelming.
I guess I did have one poll on here that I forgot to look
Oh,
at.
you missed a super chat from Console Fanboy, and he lost his mind about it.
Oh, did I?
Asked for a refund and everything.
I thought I caught all
In
of
this
them. I'll
economy,
go-
Console Fanboy, in this economy, you think you're getting a refund?
Let me see. Which one did I miss here?
You get to hold back a 20% fee for that, though, don't you?
I definitely showed that one. So I'm not sure which one I missed, but I definitely brought this one up while Glenn was talking. I didn't read it special.
You gotta read it. You gotta give the people their respect for the super chats.
You gotta
You gotta
read it like
massage them. Then you gotta play a
I
video.
respect
It's
Glenn
been
for
written.
being transparent and engaging with his supporters surrounding his FU, while other arcade companies hide and stay completely silent.
You gotta read it like a 1950s gangster. I respect Glenn for being transparent.
See? See?
So hopefully that's
Respect one,
helpful when
say?
we're talking. I did do a poll, and it looks basically like basically said, you think tariffs will ruin 2025 home arcade releases? And it's basically 50-50. I mean, marginally more, 55-45 said yes. So it'll be interesting. We got a lot to shake out and see. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got. I want to thank you both for being here tonight and talking all the fun things about tariffs and global economics. I know
honestly,
everybody was really
your
interested.
female viewership is going to skyrocket with me
Oh,
and
it's
Glenn
gonna
on
be
this thing.
huge. I got
Two
all
of the
these workers
hottest
on the show
guys in the
tonight.
home arcade scene. Like,
Yeah,
honestly,
I just
James,
wish that guy
loved
from
me a
my
long
normal
time. 5
thumbnails
bucks.
was here.
you should
Wait
have
till
had
you
us.
see-
You should have had us on when Abby was here. We could have wingman for you.
Oh yeah, it'd be like
Instead of just blushing at it the whole time.
yeah. Glenn could have taken his shirt off like in his thumbnail for tomorrow's show.
That's how he
man. It would've
actually
been
looks. It's
I
crazy.
do. I'm like Ricardo Montalban. People didn't realize in Khan that was his real chest.
Yeah.
Real fucking chest.
But I want to thank
Skeleton
everybody
now,
else.
he's dead, but you know.
Yeah. Thank everybody else for watching, all the super chats and support. And as always, until next time, have fun.